Hey everyone, this is Craig Cannings here from vaclassroom.com, and I'm excited today to introduce to you our brand new virtual events specialist program for the year of 2013. And I'm going to give you a lot more details on that, and you're able to read more about the program below this video. But first of all, stick with me for a few minutes as I've got some real important things that I want to share with you. Now, there's always the question in any niche that you work in, whether you're providing social media services or internet marketing services or general administrative services, is what I do still in demand? And this is obviously a question that some of you might have. In other words, are virtual event services important and in demand to entrepreneurs today? And I want to demonstrate that by showing you, bringing you into my inbox. And what I did this morning is I did a little search for webinars, and just in the past 2 or 3 days, this shows just the whole variety of webinars that I have been invited to. And there's a lot of them. And this really speaks to kind of the rapid proliferation of webinars and virtual events that every business owner, small, medium, and large company are doing to engage their audience at a different level. And I think this is my most popular email that hits my inbox is webinar invites. And there's all sorts of different types of webinars in this inbox. There's preview webinars where they're going to preview the new software that they've come out with. There's launch webinars where they're launching a new product or a course. There's pure content webinars where they're just teaching some great stuff. So the reality is webinars are not going away anytime soon. And there is a great opportunity to position yourself as a specialist to be able to provide virtual event setup, marketing, and management and production services for your clients. So basically, there's 3 primary reasons entrepreneurs love virtual events today. Okay, 3 primary reasons, and I definitely fall into all 3 of these areas. The first one is that it helps us to build our email list so that when we put out a Facebook post on a webinar and we drive people to a squeeze page or an opt-in page to kind of opt in for our webinar, we're building our email list. We're building our targeted email list. So this is a great advantage for business owners. It's a great way to make that initial connection with people that down the road they become a client or down the road they purchase your products and your services. Number 2, it establishes authority. If people don't know you, how do they know if you are a credible source, if you know what you're talking about? Well, you do it through events, you do it through webinars. And when I first started VA Classroom a number of years ago, I went on a webinar frenzy with associations and other groups, both offline and online, teaching them great stuff, teaching them about using social media, teaching them about internet marketing, email marketing. And what it did was it established that credibility so that when they came to VA Classroom, they had a mindset that, this guy shares good stuff. And I'd established that authority. And so your clients want to use webinars to do that. And the third one, obviously an important one, is to ignite revenues. As you build your email list and as you drive people to webinars, it leads people to looking at your products and services. The webinar might lead into a product launch of some sort, and that leads to revenues and sales. And so those are the 3 primary reasons why entrepreneurs absolutely love virtual events. Now, on the flip side, there's 3 reasons why entrepreneurs do not like virtual events. They dislike them for these 3 reasons. And this is where you will come into play. First of all, the technology challenges. They're not sure whether they should be using Google Hangouts or GoToWebinar, a teleseminar or a webinar. There's a lot of confusion around the technology and how to use it and how to set it up. And it seems like a big hurdle for many of entrepreneurs and many of your clients out there. And that's a hurdle that you can help them overcome through the services that you provide. Marketing. A lot of your clients, a lot of the entrepreneurs out there, they are experts in their area and they want to present their expertise. They want to train people, teach people. They don't want to market the event. And so they need a system on how to do that so that they can maximize the number of people that are coming into their program and are grabbing seats. And that's where you could also come in and become their event marketing specialist that sets up the marketing funnel and sequences to maximize the number of people that are coming to their events. And the third thing they don't like is the setup and production. There's one thing to run the event, and then actually to produce it and reproduce it and redistribute it in different formats. Not something most entrepreneurs are necessarily wanting to do or particularly good at. And so those three areas, those three challenges for them bode well for you in terms of being able to offer virtual event services that fill a huge gap for them so that they can focus on what we call their genius work, the things that they do well, as opposed to mucking around with marketing and managing and reproducing the actual event. Now, over the years, obviously the technology has shifted and there's a lot of new technology today. But there's basically, for the last 3 or 4 years, there's basically been 4 common categories of virtual events. We've got live streaming events. Obviously, Google Hangouts are huge right now. One of the most popular types of virtual events being delivered. Live stream is another type of live streaming technology. Webinars are huge right now. People are running SlideShare webinars through Hangouts. They're using GoToWebinar. They're using Start Meeting, Click Webinar. As an aside, those 3 solutions there, Start Meeting, GoToWebinar, Click Webinar, we will be covering in depth in our program, in addition to obviously spending a whole module on Google Hangouts. Podcasting is still popular. I think webinars and live streaming are kind of exceeding it, but certainly having a podcast show can ignite your credibility and visibility as well. And teleseminars, believe it or not, teleseminars are still work really well. With such free technologies as freeconferencecalling.com or freeconferencecall.com, and then of course the paid one, popular one, instantteleSeminar.com, which you can turn your tele events actually into webinars and presentations. And so teleseminars are still very relevant today, and I think they work well as a teaching vehicle if you provide the proper supplementary resources, like a worksheet or a fill-in-the-blank worksheet that someone can focus on as they are a part of your tele event or teleseminar. So those 4 areas are still very popular, and we are going to dive deep into them, particularly the live streaming and the webinars in our new program. Now, when I look at my inbox and I think about the different types of webinars that I'm being invited to, they basically fall into 5 different types. Okay, there may be more, but these are the 5 most common types that I readily see in my inbox every single day. And they're basically as follows: preview webinars, evergreen webinars, paid webinars, launch webinars, and content webinars. Rather than just giving you definitions of each, let me give you a practical example of each one. So starting off with content webinars, here we are. This is a screenshot from HubSpot.com, and they have an academy where they provide all sorts of great webinars to teach people value-added information. And that is there's no strings attached to these webinars. Their goal is to offer great value. And as they offer great value, it builds their credibility and it ignites people's interest to check out the HubSpot marketing software that they have. And so content webinars are no strings attached webinars. You simply are delivering some great content with maybe the only string that you're hoping people will think favorably upon your brand and check out your services and products. So there's probably, I guess you could call that a string, but it's a light one. And again, the emphasis is just delivering great content. So that's the first type of webinar. The second type of webinar are launch webinars. We did this one recently with our former virtual event specialist students. And this was a webinar that led into the kind of an early launch for them to check out our program. And so we've done a lot of these and they've been very successful. And typically launch webinars share some valuable content and then they lead into a relevant offer and they can convert very, very well. Okay, so those are launch webinars. The third one is paid webinars. There are a variety of companies, maybe some of your clients, that do paid webinars. People sign up and they pay a fee for the webinar. An example of this is the folks over at Marketing Profs. They do paid webinars. You can buy a single session, and of course they've got a larger membership that will give you all of them, which kind of becomes this no-brainer offer. And so paid webinars are still popular and work very well. Evergreen webinars, the fourth one, is extremely popular now. You may have heard of technology such as stealthseminar.com or Evergreen Business Systems. This is a Facebook tab that leads people to an automated webinar. I've already created the webinar. I'm not calling it live. I'm calling it more of an encore event, but people can opt in to sign up for this webinar, and I run it at certain times throughout the week, every week. So every Tuesday or every Thursday at 1 p.m. And so this has become an automated kind of marketing stream for us, where we are adding people to our email list, and we're also adding people to our social media training program. And it's running on Evergreen, which is kind of an automated sequence. Okay, so that's Evergreen webinars. And then the fifth one is what we call preview webinars. And these are for maybe you have clients that create apps or software or new tools that they want to demonstrate an update or an upgrade to their tool, new version. This is from MindJet, and they have Mind Manager, the very popular mind mapping software, and they've just come out with the 14 version for Windows, and they're going to give a preview webinar on that. And so that's another very popular type of webinar. Okay, so as you know, the thing with our course is that we want to take these different types of webinars and we want to help you to work with your clients to build a content marketing plan. How do they coordinate, use some of these different types of webinars to build a powerful content plan that helps them grow their business? And that's a big thing that you can do for them, that they will love you for it. So when you think about virtual events, I want you to think about virtual events as product launches. Okay, because there is a build-up to run a great virtual event. You've got to have some buzz and build-up in order to get people to, be, taking up one of the seats in the program and to actually be attending it. And so let me break it down like this. In a really good product launch, if you're launching a product on the internet, there's a pre-launch phase, a launch phase, and a post-launch phase. So for an event, a pre-launch phase might be, let's set up all the marketing pages, the pages for people to opt in to join the webinar, the confirmation pages, the actual webinar launch page, selecting the technology. Are we going to run a teleseminar here? Are we going to do a Google Hangout? Is it going to be a GoToWebinar? What are we going to use? Emailing the list, so getting people excited about, from maybe your clients has subscriber lists, getting them excited about this upcoming event. And then building a social media campaign with their social networks, Facebook, Twitter, Pinterest, things like that, to build buzz and momentum. And in our program, we're going to unpack the steps that you would take to kind of pre-launch an event. And then the launch part obviously is the day or two before the event, where you're testing the technology, your client's finalizing the presentation content, and then once the launch happens, the webinar is occurring, or the virtual event is occurring, that's when you're moderating and delivering a killer event. Okay, and moderation is a huge role that you can play with your clients. And then obviously monitoring technical issues and questions and comments as well. Okay, so that's just scratching the surface of what you can do in the launch phase. And then after the webinar is done, things aren't finished yet. There's follow-up thank you emails to send to the people that signed up. You want to edit and reproduce and set up the replay for the webinar. You want to repurpose and maybe redistribute it in a variety of different formats, which I'll talk about here in a moment. Okay, so remember, when you're thinking about virtual events, think about them as a product launch, where there's a pre-launch, a launch, and a post-launch phase, and that will help you and your clients to really maximize the impact that their virtual event has on their audience. All right, so virtual events are quickly becoming your content hub. In the past at VA Classroom, we've talked about blogging as being the content hub, and certainly blogging is a big part of your content strategy, but virtual events can be transformed into so many different and repurposed into so many different mediums. For example, with virtual events in the middle here, I can do a 1 hour live webinar that I could then convert into a 5-part video series, where I break up my parts and I've turned it into a video series that I can sell, that I can use to build my email list, things like that. Podcasts, I can strip out the MP3 the audio from the video and upload it to iTunes, to my iTunes store. I can summarize the virtual event and turn it into a PDF report that I can give away. I can convert it into a transcript. I can even create a short Kindle report that I can syndicate through Kindle, a low-cost report. I could write a blog post series out of it, and I could even turn it into maybe a series of webinars into an online course. Okay, so that it doesn't just stop with the webinar after the hour is over. You've kind of just begun with the potential of what you can do to expand and extend the reach for your clients and for yourself. Okay, so those are a few different ways on how you can repurpose and redistribute your virtual events. All right, so that just gives you a bit of an overview of some of the things that we're going to cover in this program. And I'm really excited to get started with you. This program begins on November 4th. And just to give you a few details on what's included here, there are 4 weeks of self-scheduled training videos and supplementary resources. So you're going to get a kind of a training pack each week that you're going to be able to follow along at your own pace. And then at the end of each week, we're going to have it'll actually be at the beginning of the following week, we'll be running a live and interactive training session where we go through the materials and we make sure that you are fully understanding everything that you need to know from that particular week. You're also going to have access to our brand new private Facebook group. There's going to be people that have taken the program before, so you're going to have experienced people in there that are going to be able to help you along, and that will stretch your learning to a whole new level. There'll be practical virtual event marketing guides and checklists to help you easily implement these things with your clients. We're going to have group coaching calls where you can answer and ask all the questions you have, bring all the discussion topics that you have. And then, of course, we'll have a certificate of completion because this is the end of the year. It's going to be a 2013-14, so it'll be a brand new certification that you can demonstrate and showcase to prospective clients, and even put it on your website or your blog or your Facebook page. Okay, so there are 4 core modules to this program. The first module is all about developing the strategy and the marketing plan. Okay, remember I told you that the marketing is not something that a lot of entrepreneurs like to do, but I'm going to help you set up a kind of a step-by-step sequence on how you do this for any type of virtual event, working with any type of client. Okay, so building out a content strategy and a marketing plan. Module 2 is going right into the technology, selecting the right model and technology for your clients. And we're going to really unpack how to utilize these different technologies and how to moderate and manage them. Module 3 is all about mastering Google Hangouts. Google Hangouts are so popular that we've decided to give it its own module, and I think you'll find this really useful and helpful and impactful for your business. And then module 4, we're going to talk about all that happens after the virtual event, and so how to turn your events into a content distribution machine. And I'm going to take you through kind of a step-by-step checklist on what you can do once the event is done. And your clients are going to be blown away by how much visibility one event is getting by repurposing it and redistributing it into so many different formats. Okay, so that's a breakdown of the 4 modules over the next 4 weeks. And so what I'd encourage you to do now is go below this video, check out the program, and be sure to grab your seat right away. Obviously, seats are limited. We have limited spots in our webinar rooms, and so definitely check out the details of the program. If you have any questions on the program, there's a support link at the top of every one of our pages. You can go ask your questions, and we'll be happy to help you with anything that you need help with. So I'm excited about this program. Definitely go below this video, check it out, and we hope to see you in our brand new Virtual Event Specialist program real soon. Have a great day, everyone. We'll talk to you soon.